and vision so wide. She leads with passion and people by her side. From Asia to India, her impact is clear. A leader we honor, we are proud she's here. So ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed our privilege to welcome none other than Ms. Michiko Miyamoto, a distinct Japanese national, Director of the ILO Decent Work Team for South Asian Country Office for India. Her journey with the International Labour Organization spans over 3 decades of outstanding contribution in international development. From ILO headquarters in Geneva to the regional office for Asia Pacific, she has specialized in small business development, job creation programs and workforce capacity building. Her leadership as the ILO country director for Indonesia and Timor-Leste left behind a legacy of impactful initiatives that touched countless lives. And today, as she leads South Asia and India, she continues to champion the vision of decent work, a future where growth, opportunity and dignity walk hand in hand. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome with a thunderous round of applause our esteemed chief guest, Ms. Michiko Miyamoto.
Okay, namaste everyone, and thank you very much for this kind introduction. It is absolutely my pleasure to be with you, spending some time with you, all of you in this room. Let me start with congratulating the president of Gujarat Employees Organization and all the senior management and organizing committee to put this program together. And I was very impressed looking at the concept note. It's written very well, and I was wondering, is this written by AI? And I mean, all of us are sort of getting familiar with some of the use of AI, I'm sure. And it's not a joke. When I participate in any event, normally I ask some of the national colleagues, what do you think the focus should be, or the message that we should deliver? And one of them said, why don't we ask AI on that? And in a way, it's a sort of it's funny, but it's considering the topic today. But it represents the reality of today. How we work, how our work has already changing in many aspects. And for those of you who are not familiar with ILO, so ILO International Labour Organization, it's a global UN institution to support the improvement of world work, and it is often called House of Consensus, and which means that our members are the government institutions and the employers organization and then workers organization. And at the global level, we try to have consensus on certain issues. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If we don't have consensus, which means that the road ahead is very rough and tough. If we manage to get consensus, that means much smoother way forward because everyone is on the same page, right? Even if the issue that we're looking at is challenging one. So at the country level, yes, of course, we work very closely with 3 institutions, and employees organization, we work very, very closely. And absolutely important to have strong employers institution, such as Gujarat Employees Organization. I hear so much good things about your organization, and that's part of the reason I'm here today. Such a force of foresight and the power to contribute to the business, not only to business community, but also at the national level. So I do hope at the personal level and then also institutional level, hope that this type of strength and as you can see, so many enthusiastic members participating in event like today, hope to continue to strengthen your services, insight, and advice to the business community. So Gujarat economy continue to grow and benefit to the communities that we reside. Okay, so on the have to adjust my height already. And Okay, so let's talk about industrial relations as a sort of context, right? I mean, industrial relations is first and foremost. What I want to emphasize is industrial relations is very much of the human behavior issues. Industrial relations, of course, talk about issues like social security or wages, which may not have sort of human faces, but a lot of negotiation is actually very much based on human behavior, right? So I'm mentioning this today because we are focusing on AI, which often comes as, in a way, part of non-human, imitation of the human part that comes in. And that's why session like today talk about how we combine the human aspect of it, human thinking of it, human behavior of it, to something that should, in principle, assist all of us. So, technological advancement is nothing new, right? You yourself in your career have probably witnessed many changes in different types of technology and also different types of changes already. So change itself is nothing new. And technology development itself is nothing new. But I guess one thing that's added to artificial intelligence dimension is, there's some fears in the atmosphere when we talk about AI. So everything is two sides of the coin, right? And there's always a good side and then bad side, and extreme bad side of view and extreme very positive view. So I don't know your preference, which ones to go to, when people say, so what do you want, good news or bad news first? And I always, often go for a bad news first, so give me bad news first, then I'll think about it, then I'll hear the good news. Well, AI discussion is very interesting because there's an extreme view that I'm sure you're aware of it, that some experts are saying, okay, 99.9% of job will disappear, and AI will take over your human life and human capacity, and society will be completely different. That's very extreme view, And then on the other extreme view is, oh, AI is wonderful. It will increase your productivity, you can make a lot of money, a lot of people will be more productive, and the condition of living will improve immensely. So where are we? I mean, normally, the reality we sit is somewhere in between, right? Very extreme bad side and then very extreme positive side. In a way, it's good to sort of keep track of the reality and not being controlled of unknown, too much of an unknown, because that might hinge our communication and exchange, in my view. So in ILO, there's tons of publication available, and I'm not going to present it because you can ask AI to summarize it these days, right? And I'm sure there are many, many experts, institutions already producing a lot of interesting materials. So there's no lack of materials to learn what's happening today, and a lot quicker than how it used to be. But let me just categorize some of the changes that from ILO or sort of global point of view, how we categorizing the workforce, because now today we're talking about the world of work, right? Industrial relations, which means we're looking at your workforce employees and how, which categories and occupations are going to be affected, and that's everyone's interest. So I was looking at categories in 4 dimensions. I'm going for the bad news one first, as I always do. So bad side of the equation is some of the job will be replaced. Some of the occupation will not exist. And some of the task will be no longer carried over by the human. employees. So this category, we call it replace and automate. And again, it's not the new things. A lot of automation happens throughout the history, right? You have witnessed, and I have witnessed, and some of the automation disappears. For example, I do remember that we used to have a telephone operator as a job description. You know, those are the days that nobody had operate a mobile phone. Everyone called through the landline, so we had to have someone to allocate the telephone line and make sure that everyone's communication is connected. That's gone a long time ago. So what I'm saying is, yes, there are some jobs will disappear, and then particularly looking at AI, we are looking at people who do the data entry, because data collection is the strength of AI, right? So simple data entry jobs, or simple repetition, simple assembly job. For example, electronics assembly job. That's very sort of a straightforward job. Or let's say call center job, very repetitive job. That's certain categories of response that requires. You've already noticed some of them are replaced, right? And some of the customer services response are replaced by AI. I'm sure you have noticed it in companies. Are we satisfied? I'm not entirely sure. I prefer human face to explain why this product is not working and how to do it. But in reality, many of the functions have been already replaced. Okay, so let's look at the sort of positive side of the group. So ILO categorizes one group, or primarily, we continue our work, but with assistance of AI, which makes it easier for us. For example, I don't know how many of you are managers. Decision-making tasks is a typical one. You have information quickly, even more coverage, wider coverage of information and data quickly to help you to make proper informed decisions. And I'm not saying that everything that you get from AI is correct, because you always have to validate it, right? So it's not like your job is less. You still have to do your work, but it will help you to do something very quickly and effectively. And as we spoke, as I'm speaking now, I'm having a training in the office for our team. We're doing a AI introduced training on the project designing, because we execute many projects, but design sometimes is not very good. So the change of theory, if something happens, A happens, and B happens, and C happens, sometimes it doesn't work well because the design is not so good. So using AI, we get the very quick feedback of where is the weakest part of the theory and logics, right? So that was an interesting exercise for me as well, because of course you have to ask the right question, and then you might get the answer that you might satisfy, and then you might have to change it again to make it better. So there's a lot of learning in process in this category, assist and complement, right? But it's a very quick way, rather than asking a large group of people for the appraisal process to evaluate certain logics. You can do it very quickly for the basic levels. So that's really helpful. And then occupation like hospitality. I mean, a lot of hospitality industries are using AI as the assisting, complementary web, as you might have noticed. And then the third category is also a positive note, which means that it's called transform and optimize group, which means your role itself also changes with AI, right? And to the positive extent. So your role itself and AI evolves together to make transformative changes in a way that fundamental, how the task can be performed, process itself will change, right? So that's another category. And then the last category is, very much of a innovation part, which some of you may be part of it, but limited capacity, more about innovation itself, research and development, using artificial intelligence, and then innovation itself will evolve overall industry or in some way. Okay, so that's the kind of big picture we tend to categorize. But today, maybe I would like to focus, since the concept is very much linked to skills, which is wonderful, right? Because I always try to bring in skills into the industrial relations, which is not automatic, collective bargaining, etc. Because skills has a lot to do with industrial relations, in my view. Because different conversation is required, particularly in this introduction of technology and AI. Different types of, as the previous speakers clearly explained a little bit, different types of skills need to be provided or work together. For example, for the categories of replacing task, your task is no longer there, then the category of people are either have to change occupation, or if you wish to remain, they have to be re-skilled, which means different skill set, very different to your current role, right? And then compared to complementary assisting your work, those people need to be upskilled. So your basic core skills of the current job will continue, but you need additional upskilling part of it. And again, as explained by the previous speaker, I think the digital, understanding digital skills and how to use AI, how to make it valuable to your current role. So that's clearly upskilling, right? So reskilling, upskilling. And then what about other categories? And we call it cross-skilling. You have to do everything. It covers a lot wider than just simply adding skills or complete new set of skills. It requires a lot more thinking behind it, and that is not easily taught in school. So somehow we have to have a conversation how we continue to open our mind to for different types of thinking. So now you see all these employees that we work in your company at the company level, or at the state level, or at the sectorial level. We have to have some kind of discussion on this. And sectoral level is often, I found it very useful, because this is very task specific and occupation specific. So the conversation will be a lot more concrete and a lot more fruitful when you have some understanding together. And now I'm going back to my last point is, of course, the social dialogue between the workers' organization, employees' organization versus employers' organization. In a way, I mentioned about the fear, right? Fear factor of AI. And that's precisely, I think, you have to have a lot more informal interaction so that people can frankly express their views where they sit, each person sits. Because if we are, as we explained during, experienced during the COVID, if we are isolated, it's the fear grows. And when you manage to get a lot more informal interaction, I mean, India has wonderful food, right? So you can just simply have food together, and that's fine too. I think to create such atmosphere to be able to talk about the issues of concern, and in my humble experiences, it always helps. Enterprise owners always come to me and have us a really good suggestion. We just have tea, coffee together, or meal together, and then slowly, understanding each other on the concerns. And of course, the collective bargaining or an official sort of meeting should remain, right? So that is the official structure to make it anything that you wish to see official agreement. But more so, discussion of what kind of skills that we would like employees, workers to have, and they may have suggestions. I'm from Japan, right? So I'm from the country with a working culture of a lot of shop floor employees. They somehow management always value their opinions. So what tasks do you think it should be changed? And if something is not working well, they know why. And so that kind of discussion on ongoing tasks. So what can be improved if you are willing to take some capacity training or different way of working? A lot less conflicts, right? And I'm a manager myself. To recruit someone new is always a headache, and we all know that. It takes time. It's an investment for people unknown. So it's important to have that conversation with existing employees, how their tasks can be empowered and improved, and how, if the task cannot be performed in the old way, then what would be the potential that they could be contributing. So that kind of conversation can be done in a positive manner if you are willing to create atmosphere to look at this issue as a joint area of discussion, so that we are not working on the fear, but we are working on some kind of understanding that we're building together. So at the enterprise level, at the company level, and then state level, sector level, we have a little bit more common understanding of where we want to go together. So that's my small contribution today for Food of Thought. And I'm really looking for collaboration with Visual Employees Organization in that sense. And then, of course, today I'm really keen to learn the discussion taking place, because I want to learn as well. So, and I, again, congratulate again for the Visual Employees Organization and all the participants today to having taking an interest on this subject and having some thoughts how to make your plan in coming future, coming days, coming months. So with that, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am.